All right. Hi, everyone. John, thanks for joining me today. I'd like to start off with a quick intro of me today, like a 30-minute session. I'd like to give a quick intro and then touch on two major sequences of closing a B2B software deal. Then we can go over the details of how typical follow-ups happen with the prospects, and then look at the gaps at these existing sequences. And lastly, I'd be sharing like a few templates which would cover like best practices, which you can refer and then use for better customer touch points. An intro, like I have a technical background. In enterprise software, as a sales engineer, I have helped AEs with the demos and like setting up integrations, POCs, and close tens of B2B deals. So now I continue to assist AEs with tools and techniques to help increase the deal velocity. As you may know, a typical pipeline of B2B deal looks this way, right? Like it starts with the discovery call with prospects and followed by a product demo, like where it's like use case review happen, and then going on to negotiation with decision makers or stakeholders for terms. If all goes well, like it moves to the trial stage, like a POC or implementation, finally towards the close. So looking into the follow-ups with buyers after demo stage, I have picked up these two flows which happen during the sale of B2B SaaS. The first one is where the product user is the buyer, like what they say, like product-led sales type of approach, right? So here AEs do the role of sales assist, like throughout the user journey. So from user sign up until they are active or become a paid user, like conversion from free to paid user. So this is their goal. A typical cycle here is like 1 to 2 months, depending on the product trial, and mostly self-help during the trial period. So examples I've considered are from like Otter AI and then TripleByte. And the second sequence is a multi-threaded sales approach, right? Like where a deal is typically like 3 or 5 months or more. And it usually has like a POC or implementation stage, which need to be a success for deal to be a closed one or going live with customers. So here is manage like multiple stakeholders and keeping all the buyer parties aligned and pushing for the next steps to keep up the deal momentum. So this is the key part over here. So the examples here I considered are from like Zuora and Spiff. So let's move on to the case of sales assist. Let's see how AEs do follow-ups with buyers in this sales assist motion. So taking an example from TripleByte and going a little deeper into their flow, we see that a lead can come as inbound or PQL to AEs, where a user can sign up or fill in a web form through website. So trial users may either choose to get a short demo with AE or take a self-service product out. So during this trial period, AE does these check-ins, right? Check-ins or follow-up with users to drive this product adoption. So by the end of trial, the success is when user really activates or converts into a paid plan. So in this scenario, a typical sequence looks like this. So you might be like, if you sign up for any service, you would be seeing a welcome email to the user at the start of the trial. So it goes like, here is our product tour, this is the video to get yourself familiar. And then, so as you go to the trial, AEs, will address any of these product questions you have or any issues you would have in the setup or integrations. So a follow-up here would be like sending the users examples of the use cases of the industry, some benchmarks and related cases, right? So in case of say TripleByte, so trial users are like hiring managers of tech companies and HR BPs. So based on their usage, they do check-ins weekly or bi-weekly. So towards end of the trial, that's when you'd ask for a CTA, right? Either ask for a meeting or send an email to purchase, either like opt-in or opt-out methods. And here is how the follow-up, emails or the check-ins look like. They are either as you can see, generic templated versions of check-ins, like hey, thank you for engaging in this one, and then I have one quick follow-up. So it's all in the CRM templated one, or giving more resources or links to refer. Hey, watch out our reviews, testimonials, whatnot. And also at times it's just plainly like calling out, that hey, I'm following up you. And then would you like to have like a meeting or any questions? So you see in this one, like few weeks into the trial, users see many of these interactions, but what happens is during mid of their trial, like the user may lose the context of where they are in the journey of evaluating the product, right? Like so what happens is this the content links and the attachments are spread out, and the conversations with AEs are at like different places. So at the time of really converting, so the users need to put an extra effort, right? Like to tie their goals back into the evaluation of the product. So which a bit harder for them to do unless there is a real push. So they eventually like lose interest and fail to activate. So other than this final purchase decision, we see that there is no immediate next steps during the checkpoints. So let's see outcome of this approach. So, the conversion rate from trial to paid is around 22 to 23% for this B2B, like new B2B SaaS product. So the main reason for this, like a poor rate, is like buyers usually lose this context during the journey. So at any point, you see that this product information, these use cases sent are separate from the support conversation which AEs have, and then the product timelines, they are at a different place. So at any point in their journey, they don't see like a context of where they are, what they have to do next. So one approach is, highlight these three things in your follow-ups throughout the buyer journey. So keeping this important interactions with buyers or the users and the contents, and then just give one next step during the check-in. So this gives them like a context of where they stand in the trial. So so you can look up this usage stats, of this product during the trial, right? Like for SaaS, it could be like the number of logins they had, or the records they created, or the activity duration, or the session duration, and then share it back it with the users. It would help them like get a sense of accomplishment. So in each of this follow-up, like AE can give a status check of what happened till now, and what's the next step of action to guide the user. Let's take an example. So an example of from the triple byte, we see like along with the welcome email, they provide an onboarding plan to new users. So it has a flow for user to get started. Like as you can see, first thing is they created a triple byte like a screen account, and then who are all like involved in it. Support was involved, and then some tips along the way, right? Like who are the person to reach out to during this trial, and so users can go through this journey and they can see a timeline of what was done and what's next. So you see, this is like one-time effort. So it could be in either Excel or any format to share with users. So just got to check in this one. I'm staying. Okay. So so this is one-time effort. Later you can like templatize this for all new users, right? Like so in an Excel, if you have a template, and then everyone like every new users can come in, can be automated in your CRM sequence. So here is a template for it. Like I can drop it in the chat. So this is one which we shared from the community template, wherein it has this type of onboarding plan. So I would just drop here for you to get a reference of what it is. So now with the onboarding flow, right? So what happens is user, gets the welcome email along with an onboarding, and then they logs in, and then they creates an activity. So here with TripleByte, it's an interview session which they create inside the platform. So AE can then gather like more details of this activity through their application or product stats. And then in their follow-up email, follow-up email with the trial users, it could be like adding in information of the impact this act would create, right? So here is like one TripleByte coding test, which would increase like interview pass rate by 4x. So this type of like just in time or right at the moment giving the useful information would be very helpful for the trial users to connect with the activity and then the outcome. This the one thing, and as well ask for one next action for users to do, something which is small and achievable. So here it could be like, hey, you created this new interview activity, like why don't you share it with your teammate or for collaborating. So this would really help them like a sense of getting an achievement, and also it helps in this driving adoption of the product. So this is one example of following up. The second one could be like once like they are in mid of their trial, right? Like maybe like they created the interview activity, they did one or two more of this usage or a session, and what you can do after that is like give them these best practices of using the tool at this moment, not at the very beginning, right? So it could be like sharing this industry benchmarks on the completion rate of the interviews, or it could be like the ROIs or like customer testimonial. So all of this useful information should be tied to the check-in email. So that way they feel like each time in an email, it's like a real value add. And again, like ask for one next action. Here, it could be like the discussion for the purchase or activation. So this is one way of doing. We see what would be the benefits of this, right? So two things we can think of, like, and we are already seeing it. So sales rep with this could see an increased engagement with users, during the product trial. It could be like, the response rate to their emails, the survey participation. So they are much higher. And as well, it drives the product adoption or usage, right? Like with the activity stats and impact shared at this right time, it would eventually lead to increased conversion rate for the accounts. That's with the sales assist. So if now going to the like a flow in multi-threaded deal cycle, it is typically like after lead qualification or discovery stage. So AE starts usually working with a buyer champion to develop this use case and then demo for a particular account. So and then as the deal progresses, they involve like relevant stakeholders to drive the POC or this trial to success, right? So here I think like the main goal of the follow-ups during this stage is like to keep up the deal momentum, have touch points, and then be on top of the buyer's mind, and also aligning the stakeholders at every stage. Like as we can see right here, a typical sequence of the interaction looks like this. It is they interact with buyer champions, like mainly discussing the user pain points, the product offerings, and also impact of their solution. So and as the deal moves, like they have conversation with economic buyers or decision makers of the deal. So here they highlight this achieving these business goals, and then pricing and ROI, this type of discussions. And then AE has to talk with many of the stakeholders involved in the deal. They are mainly at operational level, right? So with IT, it could be with the integrations, security, with SOC 2 compliance, and financials for pricing, and then the discounts. And so these are all needed to move the deal to the next level. So as you can see, in each of these interaction and subsequent follow-ups, it has a very different context and different persona involved. So adding value at each of these touch points is different in this case. So and let's see how this follow-ups look, follow-up with the prospects look today. So you see, like, these conversations are in different threads, different channels altogether, and different modes, right? So any contents or action item with the stakeholders are either in these silos like email threads, or they are lost in like a long list of chat. Or sometimes lost in translation. So as well, we can see there is no like a common timeline of where things are at and who are involved in the deal at this current moment. Like at this moment, who is working on the deal, who is helping whom. So the same issue occurs in a different way over here. Like somewhere in mid of this POC, like many of these stakeholders have lost the context of where they are in the journey of evaluating this product which they are selling. So this is one. So if you look at this industry average for the conversion rate, right, it is less than 38% from an opportunity to closed one for B2B SaaS. I think the main reason being like deal loses the momentum somewhere in midway with buyer stakeholders. So at any point, each stakeholders has like a different understanding of the deal and where it's headed or what is the next step. And also they like who else is involved, they are not clear. So same thing during follow-ups, right? Like there's no visible timeline of where things are at, and no clear action item for the involved stakeholders. So this all ties up, and then it leads to the low conversion rate. So let's now look at how a better sequencing could be like. So one approach is to keep these three things visible to buyers throughout this deal stage, right? What's the timeline? What's the conversations, like highlighted conversation which happened, and then the important deal contents. All these three tied together, visible during this buying stages. So creating a buyer timeline or a plan is important, and then sharing it with all stakeholders. So this would really help sales rep to keep all the the stakeholders on the same page, and know and also educate them with their selling process. So and then what happened is like during each of these follow-up, value add would be like a status check of like what happened till now and what's the one next step for this particular stakeholder or person, and then how to act on it. So this way it would help in keep up the deal velocity, and also bringing everyone involved in the same context. So thereby what happens when they are in same context is quicker decision making, and then the deal velocity it helps in increasing deal velocity. So so let's take a use case of SPIF, which is a compensation management platform, a SaaS solution. So here is an example of their mutual action plan shared for their B2B deal. So over here, you can see it has a timeline of the deal for buyers with each of these involved steps, right? Starting from discovery, moving to the demo to POC trial. So you can see who are all the stakeholders involved at each stage of this deal. At the very beginning here, like in discovery call, Chris, Chandan, and Harish was involved. Moving to the demo, who else would be there? And then an evaluation, what would happen. And currently the trial is in progress. So each of these statuses and a chronology of this timeline is now shared with all stakeholders. So all stakeholders can just get a visible, and the one who is really operating can really edit and then do things. So now with respect to this follow-up, AEs can reference this context, and then say like give an update on what happened at this step and what is the next action they are all working towards. So the template of this one too, it's over here. Let me drop it. So this is from a SPIF. You can take a look and then see how it would help you. So after this, right? So once you share this plan, right after the demo, a follow-up would be in this case referencing. So in email here would like highlight what happened in the discovery call, like what's the buyer pain point and what's the end goal, like that. And then it says like what was discussed during the demo, and calling out what the involved stages and what's one next step. the next step here is like, hey, let's do a set up for POC, and I need to work with Cindy with the payroll. So this is a follow-up, like a typical follow-up email would look like. And another one would be like during the POC, say you are somewhere in midway. So a follow-up would be like highlight the points from the demo, like use cases and features, and then also like call out who are involved at this current step, and what's the status of it. So here what happened is like integration with payroll is blocked, and so call out and saying who need to do that. So this way it would help in like having a clear context of where the deal is. Here is an example of just using this tool, and then how you can get things in one context, like the stakeholders, the plan, and then the chat and things in one place. I think we are right on time. Yeah, love to see any questions so far.
Oops. I have a quick question.
Sure.
Hi. Hello. How are you? How are you? My question is, and okay, and you may have already covered this. This has been great information because I haven't really done any big enterprise deals before. So seeing like how to thread a lot of people in. How would you start that? And Twig, what I'm learning about your company, Twig, is here to aid that process. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So because I'm an entrepreneur, and of course you are too. I'm a founder, really, and so I'm my own business development representative. What is the best way to, in your experience, to ask who all is in? When is the best time? I guess is a better way to say, to ask like who all is involved in the buying process.
Oh, when is the? I think from what I have seen, definitely like after a demo call, once you get a sense of like if there is a fit with the buyer, and then they would be like, yes, it looks like something we are looking for. We would like to go to the next step if things go well, and they kind of agree on a little bit of pricing. It's not too way high up. So then maybe like a good step is after successful demo, ask for like, hey, I'd like to know who are all need to be aware to move this forward. So
okay,
then can get reach out to them, or then ask them to involve and then move forward. So
that would be the point where would that be the point that you bring people in, or would you bring people into Twig from the very beginning?
Oh no, I think later is better. Yeah, okay. At the very beginning it may be like overwhelming for both the sides because they may not know how this will go.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and I think that that makes perfect sense. Thank you for explaining that. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Sure thing. I mean, good question. So yeah, I mean, good that Michelle, like you are an entrepreneur too. Happy to help how we help each other. By the way, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, I'm in Rev Genius too with you. So
yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah. I think I have seen your posts and then some of the time. Yeah.
But yeah, we that. So, and I saw you're doing this. So it's like, I want to go learn more about what you do. So happy to be here.
Sure thing. All right. So I think that's pretty much it. Like, I mean, this is the first session of it. So not sure how it, I hope you got value. I think Deborah too. So I think anything, just feel free to reach me on Rev Genius or LinkedIn, either way.
Will do. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time for this. Thank you.
Thank you. See you.